Yeah, it's a good thing they're getting rid of that feisty cherry because, like, as Andy and I always say, like, it's too feisty. They made it too feisty. It's just not a mellow. It's not a mellow drink anymore. It's like they're trying to like rip my taste buds out.
It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week, we're looking forward to this winter's offerings in movies and TV shows. I think it's just TV shows. No, one of these I'll classify as a movie. We'll talk about later.
All right, there you go.
There you go. Static Shock is getting a live-action movie. His real name's Static. We'll talk about this later. The Spider-Man game sequel officially gets the best character ever, Spider-Cat.
Meow, meow.
And more.
Yeah, it's speaking of winter offerings, we're out here on the West Coast in Southern California. We don't get anything close really to winter out here, except for like occasional rain, like maybe in February and March. So I can't remember exactly what we were watching. Maybe it was Orphan Black, and they were in like a cold area, and there was like snow falling, and I was like, ooh, this is making me cold. So the closest I can get to like really feeling like the season's changing is just television. So just another reason for me to sit down and watch more TV, I guess.
Could you hook up your air conditioner to whatever show you're watching? So if it, like the blue looks,
man,
it cools you
I mean,
down?
if you can put all these like color changing lights in your house, Chris, I don't see why somebody can't like hook up like, what are they, like little Arduino boards to your thermostat and then like program it. You'd have to go through, like, hire somebody on TaskRabbit to go through the next couple of things that you're going to watch that week and like tag the temperatures of the scenes. Oh my god, that's insane, but I'm sure you would do it.
I would not do that. No, I don't. I want a nice, steady, comfortable temperature when I'm watching something. I don't want to worry about this.
We're like a couple like motion, like we're like a couple motors underneath your couch away from making that like a Disney ride, you know, where we're syncing up the lights and the temperature. Just got to like spray some like scents and you got a whole 4DX experience in your own house.
Little bit of water, spritz some water in your face there, you know, nothing to say, hey, get off the counter, then little water blast to the face.
Yeah, you know, I know we're keeping it light here at the top of the show, but I suppose we'll keep the anonymity and the doctor-patient confidentiality out there. But we have a fan of the show right now that I know that has come down with COVID, and you know, I just want to wish them the best. Last I heard, they were doing okay. I hope things trend that direction. So we're pulling for you, and anybody else out there that's been stricken with any sort of ailment, whether it's a trending ailment, you know, or not. We hope you're doing good.
You stub your toe, feel better.
Yeah, I mean, outside of a pandemic, you know, usually the fall, I feel like, isn't that when flu season is? I never know when flu season is supposed to be honest.
Yeah.
I just never keep track of it.
I think beginning of October, late September, they start offering flu shots regularly. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Just more and more reasons at this time of the year, if you're in the United States, you got to be wearing a mask and you got to be voting. The two most important things that you could be doing right now. Number 3 is probably listening and subscribing to this podcast. So if you're doing this already, your prereq is to wear a mask and then go vote.
Then also leave us a review.
Oh yeah,
yeah. If you're already listening, you're halfway there. Just go that extra little step.
Like, sorry, I can't go vote. I'm busy reviewing podcasts. No, that's not okay.
You can do it if you're in line to vote. If you have to go wait in lines, I hear there are long lines. You can listen to us and leave us a review.
That's true. Sad state of a country where you have to wait in a line to vote, but oh well.
Exactly. So I mean, that's what's going on. I mean, we're at the opposite end of the spectrum, Mike. I was telling you today, it's rainy and overcast and very much, you know, that I feel like I'm a week away from the rain stripping all the leaves off the trees. Like, they're going to get heavy and wet and just rip it all off, and it's going to be dreary for the rest of the year. So
yeah, that's when fall is officially over, like you said, when the last leaf drops.
Yep, the grasshoppers come in and take all the food that you worked very hard all summer to gather, right? It's hard being a bug's life. So our core stream's a little small this week, but I wanted you to do yours first because mine ties into my second little tidbit here.
Gotcha. Well, mine is pretty small because the wife and I are still mainlining Orphan Black, and I believe we're going to be talking about Tatiana Maslany, if I'm saying her name correctly, a little bit later in the show. But man, we are zooming through it. I think last week when I mentioned it on the show, we had just finished season 1. We are like halfway through season 4 right now. So by the time we're talking next week, we'll be finished with it. So I'll be able to give like kind of final impressions of it. But you know, like every TV show, I'm always worried about it kind of like maybe dropping in quality, especially since they talked about Dexter coming back on Showtime. We don't usually talk about Dexter or Showtime on our podcast, but I was just like, whoa, there's a show that really dipped in quality after too many seasons. But I'm happy to say that even into season 4, Orphan Black is still holding up. They're still keeping it fresh. They're still keeping me wanting to hit play on the next episode, so that's good. But outside of Orphan Black, we watched a fun movie that my wife had never seen before, and I had only ever seen in bits and pieces on cable growing up, and that is Death Becomes Her, starring Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, and Bruce Willis. I believe it came out in 92, directed by Robert Zemeckis. This was just after Back to the Future Part 3, and it was a really fun watch because I was kind of putting pieces together from what I knew about the plot a little bit. And then it kind of felt like a fresh watch at the same time. So just this is kind of one of those movies that I would say is kind of Halloween adjacent. I don't want to give anything too close to the plot away, but the title is called Death Becomes Her, so just kind of look into that if you will. But all of the actors give these great performances, and it's really refreshing to see Bruce Willis not playing like the brooding action star, or I say even maybe the cocky action star that he's basically turned his entire career into. He's just like this manic character that's never in control of anything, just running in between Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep between this film, and it's just great. It's hilarious, and if you head on over to my Twitter account, I was so enthralled with watching it. I put together like a thread of these shots that I really liked during the movie. The cinematographer that worked on the film, the movie that he worked on directly after this was the first Jurassic Park film. So he regularly works with Robert Zemeckis and of course Steven Spielberg with Jurassic Park. So there's just some really fun, clever, interesting shots in this movie. This movie does rely on some kind of early 90s special effects, which kind of hints at kind of a plot point that I don't want to reveal, but it still kind of holds up, and it's kind of fun and a little wacky. It's all very novel. It's I would classify this as a dark comedy, as dark as like comedies got in the 90s, which is still not that dark, but it's streaming on HBO, which I believe also means it's streaming on HBO Max if I know my Venn diagrams of the AT&T corporate empire correctly.
Good luck guessing those, but yeah.
So Death Becomes Her on HBO. Go watch it. It's really, really fun. It's great.
Well,
great
it's also an Academy Award-winning film for best visual effects for that year.
That's great. I can't believe because I did a little bit of research after I watched the film, and I'm surprised I didn't come across that. Yeah, a whole other reason to go watch it.
And the only reason I know that is I remember it was a couple years ago, 4 or 5, maybe 6 years ago. It was a big deal. RuPaul's Drag Race had a Death Becomes Her show. Like a whole show dedicated to this movie.
Oh, I've never watched Drag Race. I understand the concept of the show, but I should look up that episode and just watch it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's funny you mention that. I mean, it's like it's a cult classic, if you will, a huge cult classic in terms of that and the people who follow it. So I think that's cool. The only reason I know this movie more recently is the person who did the music, Alan Silvestri, who did all the Avengers scores.
Oh, hey! You found a way to weave it into the narrative of our show here.
Exactly. So I mean, again, you know, you have people who do music all the time, right? But like, you know, when you go watch, I'm going to talk about a movie or two I watched this week. It's on my list because, of course, but the Infinity War and Endgame, and when you watch those, the first Avenger, these are three movies I watched this week. You hear a score, right? Like, you know, the Avenger score. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I went the other way, Mike. I went the other way.
Which way did you go?
I went to the 80s, dipped my toes in Beetlejuice. And the only reason I did this is I got a new Dolby Atmos sound system for my little theater room in here. And for people who don't know, Dolby Atmos is a sphere of sound. And I probably mentioned it before, but like it's got speakers that rotate upwards when Atmos is detected, an Atmos soundtrack, and bounces sound off the ceiling to make it sound like the sound's above you. So like it goes all the way around you.
Yeah, so now you actually finally have the hardware in your hands. I believe you sent me a video of like the speakers pointing towards the heavens to deliver you the best sound possible.
Yeah, so they was doing that. So I was looking at old movies, and some movies have been updated to take the full effect of this Atmos sound system, or there's another one called True HD, which comes on 4K Blu-ray. So I popped in my it wasn't actually First Avenger, it was Winter Soldier, and as my test subject for all this, right? And the first scene I watched was the Nick Fury car chasing, where you meet the Winter Soldier for the first time.
Oh man, the Russo brothers know what they're doing.
Yeah, so he's in the car, the sound, the bullets are around it, and then I popped it out and I went right to Infinity War, and I took the scene where Thor comes into the battle in Wakanda.
Great. I get goosebumps when I think about that scene, because I got literal goosebumps when I watched that in the theaters.
Yeah, exactly. Like that, the soundtrack kicks into the Avengers. You get to see, the first, I guess, real scene with Stormbreaker, and the very, very concerned looks on the not the Ebony Maw.
Outriders, right?
No, well, Black Dwarf, and his name's not Black Dwarf. I think it's like Supergiant or whatever in there, and then the girl, Proxima Midnight. Like they were like, oh, we thought we killed you literally in the first scene of the movie. Like they didn't expect him to be there. So that's really cool to hear the sound of this huge battle all around you as well. Like, because there's War Machine and Falcon in the air and Thor and the hammers. It's really, really cool. So this Atmos system really played it. But Beetlejuice, I got some older 4K movies to test this, because those come with the Atmos system or the 7.1, and I was watching that today to get into that. And that movie, those effects in that are just, it's so fun. It's so, I don't know, it's probably a better, like one of the better Tim Burton movies in my book, I think.
You're talking about Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice,
right?
yeah, back to Beetlejuice, yeah. Because it's witty. It's got a lot of actors from the 80s. Like I can't think. I think it's the principal. Is it the principal from Ferris Bueller? Is the dad? Winona Ryder.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I can't. I only really ever remember Winona Ryder and Michael Keaton, the actors, if you will.
Well, Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis are the people who owned the house and got killed at the beginning.
Yep, it's been a while since I've seen it, as you can tell.
Well, as I know, your household is a huge fan of Schitt's Creek, right? The mother in that. She's in this.
Mm-hmm. I can't think of her name, but yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of her name either. But she's also in Nightmare Before Christmas. She's a Tim Burton, one of those.
Catherine O'Hara. That's what it is.
Yeah. So it's just fun. Always think of the Banana Boat song, Deo. So.
Oh yeah, that gets stuck in every child's head.
Yeah, and then just the whole thing with the miniatures. It's a fun movie to watch. It's not. I'm not watching it for the sound, right? Like I'm not watching it for the quality, but it is fun to hear. A larger subwoofer and speakers all around you kind of encompass you, make you feel like you're in a movie theater experience, because that's what I'm missing. I'm missing that theater experience so damn much. I'm about to go get me a jar of what is that, jalapenos from the old
the pickled jalapenos to feel like you're really in the theater.
Yeah, to bring it home to that Atmos system. It's fun. I mean, the sound systems are getting more affordable day in, day out. So if you're looking to bring that theater home, I would definitely recommend checking out the Atmos sound system. I got mine through Vizio. Not the highest end brand, but it was a brand new speaker, and it was like it just launched this week. So I was very excited about that. So. Yep, that's what I got. If anyone has any suggestions on what they're like, hey, you should watch one of these more recent movies. Everyone says Star Wars. I'm like, well, Star Wars, the audio was already mixed before Atmos came out, right? So you're not really going to get anything good with that at the end of the day. But yeah, either way, that's what it is. But let's jump into our news. Let's do that. Normally we drag this out for about half an hour or more, but we got a little bit of news this week, and the Batman is going to be very, very seasonally themed here because they have Halloween. They have extras dressed up for Halloween in this movie, Mike. Kind of tying into the long Halloween theme that you think. But what you notice here is these extras are dressed up for Halloween as Superman and Wonder Woman.
Yeah, lots of things that you can take away just from this one little shot. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the first thing that I thought of was Long Halloween. I don't think it's been confirmed exactly what the plot of this film is going to be. Is it because if it takes place with the Long Halloween storyline, that's iconic from the Batman comics. That takes place over, I believe, an entire calendar year because it goes through all the holidays. So are we just seeing one of the holidays right now? Possibly, but it's totally within the themes of Batman. If they're going to do just one holiday, I mean, Halloween really fits in it, right? But I think the bigger point you bring up, this means canonically that these characters exist, right? I had like this weird moment where I was watching The Boys. I think maybe it was the last episode, maybe the second to last episode, where, all of like Homelander and all these other characters have comic books and toys after them, right? And in that world, superheroes technically didn't really start existing until, I don't remember how old that they were when the first hero was kind of publicized, but that means like kids, like maybe older kids didn't grow up with superheroes, so I don't know, it's just weird to imagine a world without like superheroes always being around. But yeah, so Superman and Superwoman exists in Robert Pattinson's universe.
Exactly. So, so in this Batman universe where Robert Pattinson is Batman, these Superman and Wonder Woman outfits look very classic. Like, this is old. This isn't your Gal Gadot Wonder Woman outfit, right? Like, this is very much your 40s and 50s kind of Wonder Woman. And the Superman is very, very stripped down, very simple, very bright colors, if you will. And these aren't the characters representing them, of course. These are costume people that they set on set. A bunch of extras in costumes showed up here. So it looks like, maybe the versions that exist in this universe, if we ever do come across them, are going to be very different than the ones we know now.
Yeah, or, I mean, there is a chance it's kind of like putting a hat on a hat on a hat, depending on what you're looking at here, but it could just be a retro-themed party, possibly. There's another woman off to the right that looks like she kind of has, like, some sort of, like, black, like, boa around her neck, and, like, she's wearing, like, a very kind of, like, emerald green dress. So, there's a chance that they could be going to like a throwback Halloween party. I don't know. You'd have to set all this up in the narrative. But I think the biggest point to take away here is like Batman is not the only superhero that exists in his universe. Kind of like the Nolan Batman trilogy. Like I don't think they ever hinted at another superhero in the Nolan trilogy, right?
Right. Yeah, they kind of left it alone. And Christopher Nolan, I believe, was a producer on Man of Steel. And they thought they'd tie it together. But like, these can't be the ones that we know either, because the way Zack Snyder set up his universe was like, what, Batman was 40s or something when Superman first showed up, and this is year 2 Batman. So like, I think if they do it, there's an opportunity here to love the fantastical elements, as someone says here in the things of this Batman universe, without it being dark, dour, and as the trailer kind of said, like an emo kind of Batman, right? So I think this is fun.
Look out with the chef with the checkered pants. He's the only other character in this that we got to look out for. That's the villain right there. That's the Riddler. He's hiding in plain sight.
Yeah. Do you think that's like the caterer at the chef at this party they're going to?
That's what I thought, but I like to imagine like, no, that's just what I wanted to be for Halloween. I wanted to be the chef. I put on the checkered pants, the apron, I'm good to go.
He's also, maybe this is like the Hitman character, right? Like, you ever play those games where you put on the outfits?
Oh, maybe he's Condiment Man. Is that DC or is that Marvel?
That's DC.
I can't remember.
Condiment Man. He's in the Batman, the Lego Batman movies.
Yeah, Condiment Man confirmed. He's right there. He just needs to turn around and show his condiment bottles.
Yeah, and I think to the left of him looks like Feathers, maybe a Hawkman kind of thing.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was Feathers or maybe depending on the angle, if it could quite possibly be like maybe a really large fur jacket. But the first thing I thought as well was Feathers. So yeah, this could be old school superhero costumes.
Yeah, who knows what exists in this universe, right? They could throw anything at us, especially Condiment Man, because that's what we want. We want those. That guy. So, will this be a Reeseverse? I don't know. Just give us. Go ahead.
And if you, I actually at the beginning I wasn't sure. There's no confirmation that this was necessarily Halloween, but I just noticed if you look on the right of the picture, there are little jack-o'-lantern kind of decorations, adornments, and there might be a pumpkin by Superman's head.
There are a couple more shots of this, but this was like the clearest one, and they did say it was a Halloween party. So that's what,
gotcha.
This was just the clearest photo we got.
Because I mean, every film cinematic version of Gotham just perpetually looks like it's decorated for Halloween because it's just a dump all the time. So
yeah, especially Tim Burton's Batman universe. It looks like that's constantly in Halloween. Tying that back to Beetlejuice there, right? Who Michael Keaton went on to play Batman. Man, I'm just bringing it all together today. That's good. So yeah, so Reeves first, maybe not. Just give us the Matt Reeves cut, Mike. That's the first cut. That should be the first cut. So
yes,
we gotta wait till 2022, I believe, now to see that. On the flip side of that, the other movie that was taken off the schedule completely last week when we talked about it was Black Adam, The Rock's movie, right? Because you got to work around his schedule. Because The Rock, he's the highest paid actor 2 years running right now, and they're not even making movies right now. But
he's the type of guy that's probably going to be in the top 10 until we're in the grave.
Yeah, pretty much always. He's going to be cranking on movies. But The Rock was at some sort of thing, I think, this week, and he confirms that the filming for his Black Adam of his next 3 movies starts next spring in Georgia. They'll be filming it in the Georgia film region. So.
Gotcha. Do you think there's like a dueling like warehouse bids because like Marvel is trying to buy up as many Georgia, Atlanta warehouses as they can because that's where they film all their movies, and like DC's like no, we got to make superhero movies too. We need some big ass warehouses. So I would just love to go visit any of those complexes because they just must look really boring from the outside, right? Because it's just all like chain link fence and these really like large buildings.
It's just like a huge warehouse. Could be a factory. Maybe they have like a smoke machine on the top floor to make it look like a factory the whole time.
Yeah, and I mean, like, from what I've seen is, like, they're in wide open spaces. It's not like they're in the middle of, like downtown Atlanta. So if I lived in that area at all, I would just buy some really, really nice high-powered binoculars and just go and find them. Like, I would be peeking through those chain link fences all the time. Like, watching, like, the little golf cart, like, the costume golf cart, like, drive up to set. Like, oh, is that a boot sticking out? I can't see it. Oh, what kind of boot is that? What character? That's what I'd be doing.
Get drones, man. Get drones, fly them over.
Even though like I'm in LA, I can't do that because there's just giant buildings and huge walls. I just can't. And there's no like giant building I can get on top of and like look down either. Like we're a relatively like 2 to 3 story max in like most parts of LA. So
yeah.
All I'm saying is if you're a listener and you're in Atlanta, get some binoculars.
Yeah. The other thing is, in wherever they filmed, it was called Pinewood, Atlanta, right? Because they have Pinewood over in England as well. They renamed Pinewood to Trilith Studios. Trilith. Right. So does that mean someone else bought them and renamed it, or does that mean they're just like, we want to really separate ourselves from the other Pinewood thing? I don't know what that means, but I thought it was interesting.
Probably something with taxes. It's always taxes.
Taxes. But yeah, Georgia Black Rock filming next spring. DC likes to take about 2 years on their thing, so I'm guessing 2024 before we get Black Adam.
Maybe. Your guess is as good as anybody else's at this point in time.
Well, it's all I got to guesses at this point. So, The Rock filming movies. Jungle Cruise has been done for a while too. I really want to see that one. That looks fun, right? The backside of water.
Premium video on demand, possibly in its future.
Fine. When you were young, did you watch the Static Shock TV show?
Oh, I did. I did indeed.
Okay, so what do you remember about this show?
I remember it had a pretty banging theme song. I don't remember exactly what it was. And beyond that, I just, it was kind of along the same veins of like any other superhero cartoon. It wasn't quite of the levels, I would say, of like Justice League or like Batman. It didn't really intertwine with these longer narratives as far as I can remember. But I remember it being fun. I think it may have aired after school. Yeah. I think when I got off the bus, I watched Static Shock, if I remember correctly.
What I remember, it was on Kids WB, which if you could get that to come in, it was pretty good. But I did not know this. It actually lasted 4 seasons. I thought it was just like a one and done kind of show.
We were probably busy. It was competing probably against Dragon Ball Z, and we were just Dragon Ball Z kids.
Yeah. Well, but they didn't. It was also one of those shows that didn't have the full 22 episode seasons. Mm-hmm. So they're like, here's like 13. I just pulled up here 13, 11, 15, and 13. Like very inconsistent on what they were doing here. But it is most definitely a show that looks like it's like on the cusp of getting out of the 90s, right? Like this thing. And I know Phil LaMarr was the voice of Static in this. So
he was the voice of everything. He was the Green Lantern in the Justice League animated series, Samurai Jack. He was all of your childhood favorites.
Oh yeah, you pick a video game, you pick it. I'll never forget him from his role as Marvin in Pulp Fiction, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, you shot Marvin in the
He shot Marvin in the face. You went over a bump. But yeah, so Static Shock, again, has been a cult classic, if you will, as well for years. And people love this. You've got, this Static character, an African American superhero child.
I would say the fan base of Static Shock would rub up against the fan base in a good way of Batman Beyond. I feel like those two shows, those are kind of like the next gen heroes, right? Like when you were a kid, if you were watching like Justice League or Batman, those were like kind of characters you always grew up with, but those were characters your parents also knew about, right? So like when Static Shock hit the stage and like Batman Beyond, like your parents had no idea who those characters were. So like it felt like they were your own. These were made just for me. So these were like a new trend of heroes that some of them stood the test of time, some of them didn't quite so much, but it was fun because it was new.
Well, to me, this is very like a pre-Miles Morales character, right? A young teenager who has, lost a parent and is being given abilities and has to figure out what to do with those. Does he use them for evil or injustice or like for his own good, or does he become a superhero at the end of it? And it feels like that because it's such a young kid with powers, right? And he has like the abilities. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe electricity and magnetism.
I wouldn't be surprised if magnetism wasn't there. I don't quite remember, but it makes sense.
I just know he wears the goggles. He looks like someone who. What was that Nickelodeon show where they were on the skateboards all the time?
Oh, Rocket Power.
He looks like a guy out of Rocket Power. Like, he could cross over to Rocket Power at any given time. But I think so. The whole point of this thing is with Static Shock is that Michael B. Jordan, known for Black Panther and other great movies, is to produce a Static Shock movie for Warner Brothers.
Yeah, Michael B. Jordan. He's like the golden actor from my point of view. I feel like every time we talk about him, we're always bringing up this supposed whiteboard over at Warner Brothers Studios that just has Michael B. Jordan in the middle of it, and then lines drawn off of what movie should we put him in, what should we offer him. He can do anything that he wants right now.
He survived Fantastic Four in 2015, 2016, right? So if he can survive being in that, he can make anything good.
Came out stronger on the other side. He has a lot of connections too, which is important if we're talking about him in a producer role, because he's been in a lot of he's been in independent stuff like Fruitvale Station. Unless I'm getting that confused with something else, but right. He was in that. He's been in big budget stuff. He's been all over the map. So if we're talking about him producing a movie, The one question I have in my head is what type of producer is Michael B. Jordan going to be, right? Because a lot of the times when you think of producers with big famous names, you think of people like Jordan Peele, or you think of people like J.J. Abrams who have an established career of creating things, and then basically you slap your names on stuff. Maybe you leave some notes on a script depending on how involved that you want to be, and then your basically namesake helps sells the movie, right? You don't really have to be too involved. But since Michael B. Jordan is relatively young, as far as I know, hasn't really directed or written anything, it sounds like maybe he wants to be a creative producer here, right? He wants to be in at the ground floor, make a name for himself with creating something that maybe he's not necessarily in. So I like this idea that maybe he's going to be a creative producer, has a unique perspective that he wants to add to the character of Static Shock. And, like we mentioned before, he has all these connections from all these projects that he worked on, so I'm sure he can reach out to really talented people that can do this movie well. So, if he was a little bit older and if he had already worked on creating things before, I actually might be a little bit more worried because it's just going to be a name only. He just wants to get a paycheck from this. But since he's relatively green, with making stuff and not being in stuff, this makes me a little bit more excited.
Well, and also, we talked with our friend of the show, Quentin Parker, right? Like he was given the baby of Rocky, right? Of Sylvester Stallone, like his brainchild, his one movie that made him big, like because he had nothing else, and he made the Rocky franchise, and he gave Michael B. Jordan Creed and Creed 2 and trusted him to do it, and those are great movies, right? Like people love those. So when he has those connections, but he I don't remember. Was he a producer on Creed as well, or Creed 2 at least?
I mean, if he was a producer, I think that would be one of those stipulations
Yeah,
where it just gives him a little bit more money on the back end, right? Especially if you see no producer in the first film, but you see producer in the second film. I would say that was more of like a money bargaining position. But if you're hearing news out the gate, he's going to be producer, it makes me think that he is really involved and committed to telling a cool Static Shock story.
Yeah, and at least, you know, he's got, you know, the history with that, you know, working in across, you know, he knows what doesn't work, right? He was in Fantastic Four. He knows what is amazing. He was in the $1 billion movie Black Panther. He can take those things he's learned and apply them as a producer. Like, hey, you should not do this because it did not work for us.
You know what? I have a feeling that there's probably maybe some sort of public statement out there for what Michael B. Jordan has to say about Josh Trank, you know, who directed Fantastic Four. But I actually totally forgot that Josh Trank also did Chronicle, which Michael B. Jordan was in. So, like, since Michael B. Jordan has kind of this 2-movie, you know, career with Josh Trank, I wonder if he's on good terms with him or not. Like, I'm not necessarily throwing out the idea that Josh Trank would be making a Static Shock movie at all, but, you know, I'm just kind of wondering how that relationship is.
I think the thing is, Josh Trank hated his vocal problems has been with the producers, right? The people who saw the final version of the movie rather than the actors. I don't think he ever once came out against the actors.
And also, doesn't Josh Trank like regularly dunk on himself? Like, I thought he tweeted something maybe within the last week or so where we're like, oh, I know what bad is because I made Fantastic Four.
He did. Yes, he did. Yeah, he did. So I think he's come a long way, and I think his first project is coming out this year since he's been on that. But regardless, you know, having Michael B. Jordan here, and this, the other person who I thought, you know, when it came to mind is, you know, Jamie Foxx has been very active. He made the superhero movie on Netflix, right? And I think he was a lecturer in the movies. I was like, if you could, I'm so glad it's not Jamie Foxx, because I think he's putting out average superhero stuff rather than great superhero stuff. So that's a good thing for this film and this.
You know what? I'm always biased too when it comes to Michael B. Jordan because he was one of my first real celebrity encounters when I moved out to LA because we saw Chronicle on opening weekend in a theater in Los Angeles, and he was actually sitting in the row behind us watching the movie. And it was so funny to think about. Back at the time, I had no idea who Michael B. Jordan was. I knew he was in the movie because the actors were actually really cool and they introduced the movie before it started. So everyone in the theater knew that they were interspersed somewhere, but Michael B. Jordan was right behind us. And I just have this very vivid memory of spoilers, his character dies in the movie, and there's like a very emotional funeral scene where the characters are at his grave, and there's pictures of him as a kid around the grave, you know, showing, oh, he was young and he was loved. But Michael B. Jordan is just looking at baby pictures of himself behind us, and he's just laughing with his friends because to him, those are his real pictures. So, I just have like a very fond memory of him. So I hope this goes really, really well for him.
Yeah, I agree as well. And then that it goes this way, and that people finally learn that the character's name is Static and not Static Shock, because that is like the most annoying thing to me. I'm like, the show is Static Shock, the character's name is just Static. So he was also, this character, just to throw it out there, was supposed to be in Injustice 2 as a playable character. So hopefully when they make a third one, they'll...
Ooh, I'd love to see that. I'm always going to the Injustice pool when I'm looking for like kind of high resolution renderings of characters. So hopefully they come up with a pretty cool look for him.
Yeah, they had his design done, but they cut him for some reason at the last moment. Boo. So maybe when they do a third one, that'll be cool. So, yeah, I think this is good news for that, and hopefully, you know, fans of the Static Shock show can finally get what they need to get it off their chest. I didn't get to watch this. We're gonna switch gears here. I didn't get to watch this yet, but Hellstrom is on Hulu, Mike. Full series. Yeah.
It's out there, Huluween in full effect.
Yes, they dropped the whole thing over. I believe I was gonna pull it up here, because I was gonna say I saw an article. The audience reviews for Hellstrom are pretty high.
That's good. I mean, that kind of reinforces the idea that we brought up is the whole reason they stripped all of the Marvel branding off of it was that if there was a chance of a season 2, it probably was only going to happen under Kevin Feige's watch, is if it continued without any really Marvel influence connected to it at all. So I mean, yeah, it's always you want good stuff to be successful and continue on. It's just always funny when it's connected to these large giant brands that are trying to make a universe, right?
Yeah, and it's also, again, to point out, the inherent flaw in just only using Rotten Tomatoes, that it's a audience score, meaning that this percentage of people would enjoy this movie, right? Like, not like, hey, half of this show is good, half of it's bad. It's like the average enjoyment factor for people.
I mean, it looks like it's sitting at about a 6.5 on IMDb right now, and IMDb usually is always low. Like it seems to have a really critical base over there on IMDb. So you know, if you wanted to kind of give it a bump of maybe of a 1 point, so like a 7.5, I'd say is relatively strong for just kind of like this random Hulu show, that maybe most people won't watch.
The remnants of the lobotomy of the Marvel TV shows. But yeah, I mean, just to pull up here, the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is 91%.
No, but audience scores normally we don't always agree with, but we'll see how it goes.
They clash with the critical score, which is the critic score is 39%. So like average those out, get about what you said, right? Like 60, 70. So
yeah, I mean, I'm sure you're doing the same thing I am right now, where we're not watching the show but scrolling through the news. And according to IndieWire, it is one of the worst Marvel shows in years.
They forget Iron Fist, but go on.
Yeah, and another person saying, but also the next article says won't be hard to forget. So what does this even mean? I don't know. Maybe just for the sake of science, we might have to watch at least one episode to see what the hell's going on with Hellstrom.
I had planned to watch one. I'm going to lean more into the audience so I can let go a little bit of it, because there's nothing else on right now, right? Like we're 2 weeks away from Mandalorian, and we'll talk about it here next, but like I one episode in, I'm not really out of anything at that point, right? Like,
I mean, the sad thing is, though, with a very competitive market space, even in a pandemic, if I want to watch kind of something spooky and scary, no one on my timelines, no one in any group chats is talking about Hellstrom, but everyone's talking about The Haunting of Blythe Manor on Netflix. So, like, if there's, like, one spooky show you have to watch, I mean, that seems to be the one. That's the one that everybody's talking about and raving about. So if you really want to be if you're a person like me, that usually likes to be within the zeitgeist and being able to chat with people, about these things, I'm probably going to watch that over Hellstrom.
Or you can be like me and not watch that because too many people are talking about it, and you're like, it's probably overrated, like every other show that somehow hits the zeitgeist. But I'm also not watching Hellstrom to be scary. I'm like, well, we'll see how that goes. But I'm gonna watch one for next week. I'll see how this goes for sure. Because in 2 weeks, we now have our Fridays scheduled, Mike, with The Mandalorian season 2. Yes.
Putting a little drum roll in the microphone if you can hear it. Yeah, I just had the realization the other day. I was like, we're like halfway through October. That means The Mandalorian's almost here, because I kind of had to mentally disconnect with the release date. Because, I know it's technically in October, but it's like the very end, Like it's basically November.
Yeah, pretty much. It is a full November, December schedule rather than anything in October. But season 2 trailer is dropping tomorrow night, Monday, during Monday Night Football. So we'll be able to talk about that next week, of course, because that's the inherent flaw of doing a show on a Sunday. Everything drops on Monday. So I'm excited to watch this. I've seen a teaser of it. Someone had their phone and they filmed a little bit of it, the teaser. And it looks like the only thing I could pull out of it is, you remember in the first season, there's the blue guy that he's hunting in the very opening of the first episode?
Yeah, vaguely.
And they're on the ice, and the creature comes through the ice and tries to pull the ship down. So apparently that guy comes back in this season. So
all right.
I don't know if he's like if he got free and has another bounty on his head or something like that. So I
thought he died.
No.
I thought he got frozen in carbonite and like the ship blew up, or I don't really remember exactly what happened.
He was on the Mandalorian ship. It wouldn't have blown up.
Yeah, but I thought he got transferred to a different ship that blew up. I don't know. That first episode was like literally over a year ago.
No,
so.
No, I just watched it a couple days. Like the next scene it cuts to is him, I think, getting the credits from from the guy from like getting it done. So. Not too bad at all. And then apparently, according to Jon Favreau, season 3 is set to film before the end of the year.
Ooh. You got to imagine this show, Mandalorian, is just getting absolutely everything it wants everything it needs. Anything that any person on the show just kind of dreams about needing, like they just have it. Like if somebody was just like, oh, in order to make season 3 on time a little bit faster, I need one of those fancy sound bars that Chris Dillard over at Superhero Slate ordered, and then Disney ships over an entire pallet of like 1,000 of them. They're like, whatever you want.
Yeah.
We need this show so bad right now because all of our Marvel stuff has been delayed due to shooting. Mandalorian seems to be the only thing. We can just lock you guys in a warehouse and you can like crank out a season. So it's just gotta, like, Jon Favreau is just like, pick of the litter. He probably has Bob Chapek and Bob. Wow, that's funny. I've already converted my brain over to the other Bob. What's the other Bob's name? The one that
Iger?
used to run Disney. Bob Iger. Yeah, he probably has both of those dudes on speed dial. He can call them whenever they want, and they have to wake up and do whatever Jon Favreau wants.
Yeah.
But, it's crazy. Mandalorian gets whatever it wants, which is good because I want Mandalorian every year.
Yeah. Some people were like, this will get me to renew my subscription to Disney Plus. I'm like, are people not renewing their things to Disney Plus? Because I'm like, I would never cancel this service. I think it's got great stuff. But now it's gonna have even more original content. A year later, we've got that. Season 2, season 3 already confirmed for Mandalorian, right? So you got next fall planned out, Mike. But the next thing is, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, how on earth does Disney Plus compete with the streaming networks like Paramount Plus?
Yeah.
Oh, without more Mandalorian. Paramount's going to come in swinging.
Is that what CBS is renaming itself to?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They can't come up with anything original. Like, if you're going to go with a horrible name like Paramount, which nobody really has emotional connection to, at least come up with a cooler name than Plus. Like, at least HBO went like with a cool word like Max. Do like Paramount. I guess it kind of
All
rhymes
Access.
Plus. Well,
Leave the All Access. I will always call it CBS All Access because I'm like, that's not that bad. Like, that's not grating to me like that name. What Peacock? I'm not telling people, hey, go watch it on Peacock. That's weird. So either way, but back to it. Disney Plus coming out with new content all the time. Again, WandaVision looks like it's set to debut this November or December now because the November release video from Disney Plus does not show WandaVision in it. So it looks like either they're hiding it for the end of November, which they could be, or they're going to just drop it in December as one of their just kind of when Mandalorian wraps up.
Yeah, because here in the United States, November 26th would be Thanksgiving, and I feel like usually when it comes to like media and entertainment, usually the day after Thanksgiving is somewhat significant, where you might be getting drops of new stuff, or back in the day when movies came out, sometimes you might get a movie that comes out like on Thanksgiving Day. So yeah, I suppose there's a chance that they could be doing an advertising blitz maybe towards the end of November. But if it doesn't happen to be that Friday, November 27th, the very next Friday is a different month, December. So we might see it there.
The Mandalorian also released its whole schedule, and it ends. This last one is December 18th. Which would mean, do you want a Christmas Day miracle to watch with another movie we're going to talk about here?
Ooh, bring it on.
You could have WandaVision. I'm just saying you can have WandaVision. I'm not going to go to the next topic just yet, or two down here. But December 25th, you wake up, you go get you open your presents, you're drinking your hot chockey, Mike, in your your matching pajamas with your significant other. Then you sit down and you snuggle up and watch WandaVision, a love story, really, right? So. Either way, we'll let you know as soon as it comes out. But that's all we got right now. It does not look like November. She-Hulk, you talked about it at the top of the show, Tatiana Maslany. She's now denying that she's cast in this role, and I think it's more of an NDA kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe some sort of like contractual obligation there because everything, the news cycle with She-Hulk went very unimpeded by her and her people when that news broke. Everybody was basically confirming it. So many photoshops of turning her green because that was the closest way to get her to She-Hulk out there in the world. I mean, nobody stopped it. Nobody denied it. So, yeah, it makes me think that if we're waiting this long, they might be trying to get some T's crossed and some I's dotted. But I certainly hope it's true because the wife and I have fallen in love with her in Orphan Black. She does a really good job playing all of these different characters. After you kind of get engrossed in the show and you get really connected to it, you forget the fact that it's even a different actor. You forget that it's the same actress playing all these different people. So yeah, I really, really, really want to see. I really want to see her on Disney Plus as She-Hulk. So I hope this pushes forward.
Yeah, and again, if you don't remember, there is the the famous denials Paul Rudd and Jason Momoa both did before they were confirmed for their roles, right? Like, they were like, no, we're not Ant-Man. No, we're not Aquaman. What are you talking about? And then literally they did. They did cast them. So,
if anything, it gives them another news cycle out of the announcement, right? You know, they get a whole another day of people talking about it.
Or she's got more contractual negotiation power. She's like, look at all these Photoshop photos of me. I need a little more money.
Yeah, she deserves whatever she's asking for. To be honest,
Yeah.
she's a talent for sure.
Yeah, and the show's gonna need someone to really to pull it. I think you know, if you get Mark Ruffalo, that's fine to, you know, as cameos, but that's about all you can get out of him. Back to Christmas Day. I'm still in my mental pajamas, Mike, here on that cold day. The movie Soul from Pixar is being added directly to Disney Plus on Christmas Day. No extra cost, full free to watch that day.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was a rumor last week when we were talking about it. So I believe it's confirmed this week.
Yeah, they've officially said it. It's on their schedule. You know, Soul. It was the next Pixar film. It was kind of floated around. Like, you know, I saw a trailer, but then I saw nothing for months and months and months. So I assume they were trying to figure out where to put it. And, you know, on the flip side of this, there is one single, I guess, investment operator for Black Widow who says they should put the movie on Disney Plus. And it's just one guy, not a bunch of stakeholders like some people were saying. But, like, you know, Disney Plus needs new content that isn't WandaVision or The Mandalorian, right? For kids to watch.
Or Clouds? What is Clouds? I logged on the Disney Plus the last couple of days, and I keep seeing this thing called Clouds, and it's just like this dude with an acoustic guitar, and there's like a farm in the background. So I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's something I should be watching, or if it's like for 14-year-old girls that want to be serenaded with an acoustic guitar farmer. I don't know.
No, that's the kid who had. It's a guy who has cancer.
Oh God, I'm not watching that. That's sad.
Yeah, it's like a drama kind of thing, like one of those, like, was it Walk to Remember style?
Oh yeah, so more Pixar films and less Clouds, whatever that is.
So if you're gonna keep your audience, you gotta put something on there that kids are gonna enjoy. I think Soul's a great choice. Again, we talked about some Pixar movies are wins, some are, you know, just average.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, I follow a lot of people in the animation industry on Twitter, and it's a small group of people that seem to all know each other. So their opinions on different projects are pretty biased, because any given show or movie, they probably know somebody that works on it. But I saw somebody that was within the industry that saw an early cut of Soul. It might have even been a finished cut at this point in time, since the movie should have been out already, right? And they said it's one of the best Pixar movies ever made, and I believe they may have even used the word triumph. I'm trying to recall the tweet exactly. So that's at least one positive reaction, you know, out of, you know, nothing that I've seen so far. So I have a feeling that it's going to be at least above average. We're probably not going to be getting a good dinosaur. That's all I care about. You know, as long as we're getting something at least A tier, I'll be okay.
Yeah, and it's got Jamie Foxx as the voice, one of the main voice actors in this, and, you know, some other famous people. It seems to be a movie about music and singing. So I think it's fine to put it on there. I would, honestly, if they put this on there in its current state, I probably would not have paid for it like I did Mulan. I don't think it's got enough hype, if that makes sense. So I'm glad it's free. I'm glad they're putting something on there that we can all watch and not have to go to the theaters to be in, Mike. So awesome. On the flip side of that, next month, November, Disney Plus is dropping the show we've all wanted to see a sequel to, the holiday special for Star Wars.
What? But are they Lego fighting?
It's a Lego. Yeah, here? No. So this is a whole different movie. So they're doing a Lego Star Wars holiday special for Disney Plus coming next month, and it takes the new. It encompasses all the characters here up to the new ones, and I'm gonna read you a little description here. So the Lego Star Wars holiday special reunites Rey, Finn, Poe, Chewie, Rose, and the droids. They don't even give them names. That's bad. For a joyous feast on Life Day. God,
oh my gosh.
Rey said, go ahead.
No, I just want to say, like, I hope they're really leaning into this. Like, if they're really leaning into this idea of Life Day and the old Christmas special, if somebody who really understands comedy is writing this could be really funny.
I will tell you, Lego shorts and movies are some of the funniest stuff I've ever watched. Like clean humor, you know, like not like, you know, Robot Chicken, but these are pretty fantastic. But Rey sets off on a new adventure with BB-8 to gain a deeper knowledge of the Force. At a mysterious Jedi temple, she's hurled into a cross-timeline adventure through beloved moments in Star Wars cinematic history, coming into contact with Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Yoda, Obi-Wan, and other iconic heroes and villains from all 9 Skywalker saga films. But will she make it back in time for the Life Day feast and learn the true meaning of holiday spirit?
So I have one question for you, and then I want to comment on this poster because I think this poster is actually pretty great.
Yes.
So if you're familiar with this kind of, with these Lego shorts, if you will, these aren't like those Funko Pop shorts where all the characters are mute, right? Are there voice actors involved with this?
Every voice actor who has played a role will be back for this. All the original voice actors. We've got, I'll pull it up here as you kind of talk about the poster here, but like Billy D. Williams and Mark Hamill and the actors are actually involved in this.
Okay, so this is really leaning towards a premium experience, and I just want to say the thought that went into this poster. So I'll describe this poster to you out there. So you have a very Christmas holiday red, if you will, and you have one just single severed Lego hand, severed as in it's just the Lego hand with a bow wrapped around it. And at first I was really confused, like what, this doesn't make, why is it just the Lego hand? But then it says to Luke from your father, so it's like, oh my God, that's when Luke get his arm chopped off. So that's just hilarious. So if they're leaning into just like the fun and the parody of Lego and Star Wars with just the poster, you know, and it's coming out November 17th, which is a relatively premium month for content, you know, whether it's movies or TV. I think this will be fun. I'm actually looking forward to this now, putting all the pieces together. You're telling me the cast is returning, you know, this is Lego. I mean, we know Lego does parody very, very well with the Lego movie and Lego Batman. So this is great. This is something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and I've watched a lot of the Marvel ones for the Lego ones because, you know, the Lego Marvel games, they did some shorts as well. And some other ones, but like, you know, again, just to say here, we got Kelly Marie Tran as Rose Tico, Billy D as Lando, Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, including they couldn't get, you know, some of the original trilogy actors. They brought in the Clone Wars voice actors for Anakin, Yoda, Qui-Gon Jinn, so on and so forth. So, yeah, I think this is fun. I've seen some images of it, but they're out of context. They don't look interesting. So. I'm excited to check this out. And next month, I'm glad they're putting out in November and not the end of the month. But they're also got I believe you can get the Lego Star Wars, like it's something like a build set you can buy in person as well. So it's got like Darth Vader and a little sweater and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's fun. But like, you know, they I want to see what they do. Have you ever watched the original holiday special?
I've just seen like I think I've technically seen all of it just within clips through YouTube. But yeah, I've never sat down and watched it from beginning to end.
Well, you can find it on ChrisFlix in its entirety. So I think this season I'm going to drink as much eggnog as I can hold and watch it and see if I can get through it. So
eggnog, it's eggnog season soon.
I've got my my Wally World cups from Christmas Vacation that I can drink
we have those too.
Yeah. Well, we should do a socially distant Christmas party. Are
yours weirdly large?
They're huge.
Because the ones we have are really big too, and it's great because you can, you know, they're premium. They feel premium. It feels like you got your money's worth. But I want the ones that are like in the movie. They're like kind of small. You know, they're kind of lightweight. You don't need a gigantic area in your cabinet to store them. So, but the ones we have are like the premium, you know, officially licensed ones. So I don't know if anyone out there making bootleg like Wally World cups that are accurate to the movie. I'd like that. Yeah,
and now our bowl big enough to dip it in. So,
yes.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I got as well. But yeah, check that out next month. That sounds pretty fun. But speaking of Star Wars, we got some other Star Wars rumors here, Mike. I'm just gonna kind of chalk these up as rumors from through the grapevine. Is that the Star Wars The Bad Batch spin-off series from the Clone Wars will release in March and April. They're shooting for a March-April for that show.
Yeah, I mean that's the benefit of animated stuff. You get a chance to keep on working on it. I mean, we're talking about another animated project with Star Wars here in a second. It does make me wonder how much animation greenlight that's been happening this year is due to the circumstances of COVID. I think it's great that we're getting more animated Star Wars because sadly, as I always say on this show recently, I'm still slowly working my way through the Clone Wars, but of course I'm liking everything that I'm watching. So there's nothing wrong with savoring favoring it from my point of view. But it's great. It's all really good stuff. So I want to see more of it. So if COVID is the reason we're getting more, that's one positive thing from a pandemic, I guess.
Yeah, and a couple tests as well that come back positive, but that's different. But
Chris.
I know it's bad.
Chris.
But what I'm saying is, so the Bad Batch, if it comes out March, April, is 1 year from season 7 when it debuted, which was I think February, March range. So that sounds about par for the course, right? Like they would 1 year between quote unquote seasons. So sounds good, and they say it's the same quality animation as the Clone Wars. So I didn't expect any less, really.
Yeah,
they've got the models, so just roll with it. So I'm excited to see where that goes. Again, I said the Bad Batch are some of my favorite episodes of that season, without spoilers. So hopefully you get there soon enough, Mike. You can catch up with that.
Yeah.
On the flip side, the sequel to Star Wars: The Clone Wars was Star Wars Rebels, which took place in the weird portion before A New Hope, and I think it even like tied into what was it? Rogue One? Yep, a little bit. So the sequel to this Star Wars Rebels series is apparently an animated series, not a CG series.
Oh, okay.
And it will feature the characters Ahsoka Tano and Sabine Wren, who are the main characters of that show. And the season 1 apparently is complete already. At least maybe animated style or voice. One of the two could be. And they're looking to maybe do this next summer.
So this is very interesting because outside of the CG animated stuff, really we've only seen 2 other styles for Star Wars. This is barring the original introduction of Boba Fett in the Star Wars Christmas special, which was animated. But we have Genndy Tartakovsky's version of the Clone Wars, which is kind of very much in his style. Think Samurai Jack. And then outside of that, what we've kind of just had like kid-friendly stuff, right? That's been kind of 2D animated, if I remember right. Well, they did stuff with like Rey, I believe, that was 2D.
There's those like one-off shorts they kind of did there that were like but there's also Resistance, which was that kind of cel-shaded like 2D 3D animation. Do you remember that one?
But that was the one that was supposed to take place just before episode 7, right?
But between 7 and 8.
It was like the flight academy thing. I just remember the trailer with like the ships flying around.
Yep.
And was it Poe is in it, right? The first episode or the first something like that.
He's in there somewhere. Yeah, it had 2 seasons. So,
but that's CG is what you're saying, right?
Right. That's not quote unquote animated as I'm being told through this rumor. So, that would be. They do experiment with the art styles, but right, like you said, other than the Attack of the Clones, or whatever, the Clone Wars season 1 and 2, they've not really gone back to the 2D animation for stuff that's in the canon.
When I see this, I would look at this as a way to maybe move forward, right? I highly doubt Star Wars would fracture into many different animated styles to tell stories, right? If they're being really consistent with this 3D CG style, it seems like once they go 2D, they might try to find something that they want to stick with. So the really cool thing about this is even 2D animated stuff can really change the look of Star Wars moving forward, right? Like if you look at that Genndy Tartakovsky original Clone Wars animated show, a lot of those designs really influenced the CG stuff that we see now. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the first screenshots of this.
Yeah, I am as well. And that's the thing is, other than the Bad Batch, which could be like a one-off kind of thing, right? It could be a single season, could be a couple seasons, whatever, because technically it's just an extension of the Clone Wars. This could be what they do going forward for Star Wars shows. I know what the High Republic is going on in the comic books and the regular books. So if they want to go back and tell those old stories, they don't need to use the Clone Wars. They can do the 2D animated stuff if they really wanted to, and crank those out pretty quick. I think there's less render time for those, hopefully. So, knock on wood. Yeah. So if we see it, I'll show you, Mike, and we'll talk about it. The big cat in the room, if you will, here is...
All right, Chris, hold on. I gotta set up the confetti cannons. I got some pyrotechnics I need to go off here. Let me get some sort of a high profile celebrity to introduce it. Let's filter in the crowd. Everybody's really excited for this. This is the biggest news of the week, and I think everybody's really excited to hear this.
Yeah. So thank God that Miles Morales, the Spider-Man sequel game coming out, is on PlayStation 4, not just 5, for Mike's sake here.
Yes.
Because they revealed this week I didn't know this was a month away. gameplay footage from the upcoming game showing some boss fights, but also the introduction of the most crucial character of this whole game, Spider Cat, a bodega cat, if you will, Mike.
A bodega cat. If you follow me on Twitter, one of my favorite Twitter accounts is just called Bodega Cats, where you just get pictures of cats that live in bodegas because it's the perfect environment for them. Plenty of places for them to lay down on top of things that you need access to, because that's what house cats are the best at, is keeping you from the things that you need. And they're just like super cute, and they can just live in a little store, and you can just trust them to not run away when the door opens up. But it's coming to a Spider-Man game, and it's so cool. Like, it looks like, according to the video that you can get in our show notes here, it seems like it's going to be a mission, and once you complete the mission, it's almost like you get a costume that has a backpack and a cat in it, and the cat fights. He jumps out and he like attacks your villains, and it looks like it's going to be like totally novel and totally fun.
Well,
I'm so excited. Where's a little Spider-Man?
Yeah, I was going to say, you're missing the key point here. That this cat's identity is safe to the world because he is wearing a Spider-Man mask when he's in your backpack with you.
If I remember right, the cat's name, the owner gave it, is Spider-Man. Like, that is the cat's name, Spider-Man.
Yes, so it is Spider-Man, and it looks the way this video is cut very hard. There are hard cuts in this. So I think there's a mission where you get this backpack and then you save the cat, and then I don't know if it's it doesn't look like it's immediately by the way it's cut, but like later you will get this backpack and the cat will help you finish off enemies when you're doing finishers off them. They'll come out of your backpack and he'll swipe at their face. It looks amazing. As a cat owner, as a cat father, Mike, I have 3 young cats myself. I was very, very happy to see this. And it's not changing the narrative of Spider-Man. This isn't breaking anything. This is fun. This is so fun.
It's just a great time. It inspired me because when I was making the promotional image for this week's episode, I was scrubbing through the footage, and you never really get a really awesome, great kind of clear picture of the cat. The camera's always moving or he's in action. So I was just like, hey, orange cat, who's the most famous orange cat out there in the world? Garfield. Mm-hmm. So if you check out the image for this week, you can see Garfield. I had transformed him into Spider Cat. Yeah. And I went the extra mile and I drew Miles Morales.
The extra miles,
Garfield. Yes, I drew him in the Garfield style. So if that's something you ever thought you needed to see, I guess you can check out our featured image for this week's episode. But I'm so excited. I was a little facetious when I said Game of the Year confirmed with Spider-Cat. But I mean, come on. I mean, I don't know if Spider-Man technically was Game of the Year when it came out.
Man, I don't know how to determine if something gets a Game of the Year ever.
Because I feel like everything gets a Game of the Year edition, whether it won that award or not. But I mean, I think it's safe to say that critics beloved the very first Spider-Man game, and hopefully they get to iterate and remove any tedious stealth missions that don't add to the fun of the game with Spider-Man Miles Morales. They took out the stealth missions, and hopefully they're just adding cat missions, and they're knocking it out of the park. Everything looks great. I'm so happy. I'm so happy, Chris.
I know you are, and again, it's coming to PlayStation 4 as well as 5. So you get to partake in that without having to upgrade your console. Yes. I'm just looking at the Game of the Year according to South by Southwest Gaming Awards was Sekiro.
Yeah, I thought it was. I couldn't remember. Couldn't remember the calendar years if those lined up with the years that they came out. If I had to give any criticism, because we like to talk about the full gamut of news here, the cat looks a little weird to me. Like the model of the cat seems a little off. I don't know if they're trying to go with a stylized cat, but the animations seem a little weird. I don't know if they just have to have him move that way just so the combat works. But
it gives him a personality. I'll tell you, that's not how a cat works. It kind of it's not fully anthropomorphized, but it's like this cat knows what it's doing, is understanding stuff. But in a world where you're
who knows? Maybe we're just looking at some alpha, beta animations here. But yeah, if I had to be fair with my criticism, something's a little off with the cat, but it looks fun, which is the most important bit.
Yeah, I believe God of War won Game of the Year the year Spider-Man came out, but there was probably won something like Best Superhero Game that year, and that made it Game of the Year, right?
Yeah. Maybe there's like technicalities, right? Like Game of the Year, Sony console exclusive, right? Or Game of the Year, like Xbox exclusive.
Yeah, there's something out there where it's probably because I think the Game of the Year version came out that had all 3 DLCs.
Yeah.
So, But yeah, so if you're looking to pick up Spider-Man, do that. Also, the gameplay, the regular gameplay looks pretty cool too. It looks like, again, they're reusing models from the other one. That's fine. It's the same world, whatever. But it looks like there's a larger Rhino level where you fight him as a boss. A little bigger.
I guess we should talk about that just really briefly. Like, the news coming out is that next gen PS5 games are going to be $10 more expensive, right? Like $70, I believe, is the price point that they've been kind of pinning down. Games right now are $60, but this has a $50 price tag, which is basically leading me to, we're not going to quite get a short DLC story experience, but I don't think we're going to get really the full story experience that we got in the original Spider-Man game. Probably maybe somewhere in between. It seems like you will have a little bit shorter of a campaign to play based on that $50 price tag in my mind.
And I lean the other way. I think it could be the same length because there is all the extra side missions you do, right? That kind of fill in that time. But like at the same time, other than the Tinkerer so far, right? These are all the same. This is the same assets they've been using on the last game. Like, here's a new Spider-Man suit. It just so happens that he's now Miles. Like, that's all I feel they're adding to it, and maybe that's why they can reduce the cost. Like, look, we can make a good story, but we're not rebuilding the assets from the ground up. That's the $70 version you got to buy, which apparently comes with the original Spider-Man remastered, but you only get it digitally if you buy it. It's very confusing. I tried to follow it earlier today.
Well, we'll have answers sooner or later. The game comes out pretty soon, and we'll be clocking. Somebody will clock the campaign pretty quickly. Somebody's going to sit down. I mean, I know somebody personally that played the entirety of Last of Us Part 2 in one sitting, which is insane, but they did it. So I'm sure somebody will do the same with Spider-Man.
Yeah,
it'll probably be you.
Well, no, see, it's hard because that comes out when the new Xbox comes out too. So I've got to really, really watch my time spent on this. So I'm excited to play it. I mean, I cranked through that first one really fat that first week. It was so fun. I've got a Spider-Man exclusive PlayStation, right? The PS4 Pro is Spider-Man for me. So this is very, very important to me. What I would love them to do, Mike, and then this is maybe the last thing, is add a VR mode to this.
Ooh,
like your first person swinging through you don't have to fight anybody, but let me swing through the city, with my controller and do first person VR, because that game is highly detailed. So
yes,
I think it looks good. But Spider-Cat gameplay with Rhino, all this stuff, check it out in our show notes. Lastly, Furiosa, the prequel spin-off to Mad Max. It's a prequel. Is now in works at Warner Brothers with George Miller returning. They've cast Anya Taylor-Joy, who played Magic in New Mutants, and to star alongside Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor.
I wonder if is Chris Hemsworth, because I'm not super familiar with the lore of Mad Max over the many movies he's been in, but Mad Max was just kind of like almost a side character, or a mute, if you will, in Fury Road. So I wonder if Chris Hemsworth is going to play a similar character.
Well, so my understanding is the prequel to this, those characters did not meet Mad Max until much later. So I don't think he is that character. He could be a good guy. He could be a bad guy. I mean... Oh,
yeah, I guess he could be a bad... He should be a bad guy, right?
Yeah.
We're so used to him being a hero. I'd like to see him be a bad guy.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and that was the other thing, is that they said, he's in a mysterious role. And I can't think of the guy who played Dr. Manhattan in the Watchmen TV show.
Yeah.
I cannot pronounce his name to save my life, and I would just butcher it. He was also Black Manta in Aquaman. He is also in this movie, is another mysterious role. So we'll announce those whenever they come, because those are great actors, right? Like, I like both of them, so, or all of them. I don't need Taylor. Is she a good show? What was she in before that? Was it Split?
Yeah, she wasn't Split. She wasn't the main girl in Split.
She was the main girl in Split.
Okay.
She wasn't the main girl in Glass. But she was in Split with what's his name, Professor X, James McAvoy. So I think these are great actors. I think this is great. I think I think Fury Road's a little overrated. People are going to shoot me for this. I think it's a good movie. I think it's great. I just don't think it's the best movie of that year. But I'm actually it's going to be one of the movies I give my Atmos thing a try, because I've heard that you have to experience the film and the sound as well as the thing. So
there you go. That's a good one to watch.
Yeah. So what did they do? Was it like a Chrome version as well, where they black and whited the whole thing?
Yeah. But the professional black and white version.
Yeah, right. They didn't just add a filter and all right, it's black and white.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is cool. I think it'd be fun to watch. And George Miller's up there. He's like 80 something, maybe 90. Is he?
Yeah, I mean that's you know, to get a
75.
little hoity-toity. I mean, that's the kind of the one of the great things about quote unquote the arts. You know, depending on if your ego is self-inflated or not, which I'm sure happens a lot in Hollywood, you only get better at what you do when it comes to arts, right? You know, you just get more introspective. You just get more experience.
He was signed up to do that Justice League Mortal film. Remember in the early 2000s with all like the yeah, so they were like a day away from filming before that thing whole fell apart. But you know, I'm kind of looking here. You know, he's got an eclectic. He doesn't do a lot of movies, right? He's not doing one every couple of years. I'm gonna tell you, he is other than Mad Max 1, 2, 3, and 4. He is known for the writer of the movie Babe.
Yeah, Babe and Happy Feet, right?
Babe, yeah, both Babes and Happy Feet, both Happy Feet. So this guy has got, and then the movie they made us watch in science class growing up, Lorenzo's Oil. I don't know if you ever.
Well, I've never seen that actually.
Okay, well, it's got Nick Nolte in it before he went all crazy. So
science class. Why are you watching that in science class?
Because
what happens in that movie?
It's about this kid has some sort of disease, and the parents are like trying to find a cure for it. So it was like about, you know,
we watched October Sky in my science class. That was our science movie. So that's why everybody loves his name's on Jake Gyllenhaal. That's why everyone loves him in my generation.
Yeah. Well, there we go.
My graduating class.
Yeah. So I think this is fair. I mean, this is good for him being able to, you know, continue his little franchise he's made and do it without Mel Gibson. Really, that's all.
Yes, please.
Chalk that up as a win here. We didn't talk about it last week, but he's got that Fat Man movie coming out.
Yeah,
it looks more entertaining than it should be. Damn it! So
yeah, I mean, I'm really frustrated because it's such a crazy, wacky concept, right? Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, oh man, Santa Claus and somebody and
Wally Goggins
and yeah, Walton Goggins. I love that guy. Goggins going after Santa Claus. I mean, on paper it sounds amazing, but it's just like I'm not gonna uncancel Mel Gibson. Mm-hmm. He deserves all the crap that he gets. I just don't understand how he keeps getting. I mean. He used to be top tier, and now he's doing kind of like goofy stuff with Santa. So I guess maybe he's getting what he deserves. But
what did he do? He was in Daddy's Home 1 and 2, wasn't he, as well, over the past 10 years?
I guess he's trying to rehab his image. I'm not falling for it. You're not getting my money, Mel Gibson. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. It's not in my notes. I want to talk about. Did you see the trailer for Nick Cage's Jiu-Jitsu yet?
No, I didn't.
It came out today. Tony Jaa's in it. Even every 5 years, a portal opens up on Earth, and an alien comes through, and they have to fight him in jiu-jitsu and beat him to keep the Earth safe.
That kind of sounds like a plot to Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta see this trailer. We'll talk about it next week. But I was like, I watched it. I'm like, I want to put this in the show notes, and I watched it. I'm like, oh god.
Quick question: does the alien look humanoid, or does he have to like punch something with tentacles?
No. He's a humanoid alien. It reminds me of Predator, but instead of doing it through like jungle warfare, they're doing it through wire jujitsu, like hidden wire jujitsu. Okay. The last line is he's like, oh, Nick Cage's like, oh, I can fly too, and he like flips like twin times in the air before he lands. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh god, I gotta show this to the wife.
I gotta find. I'll send this to you. I need your reactions after the show, but we'll if you like it enough, we'll talk about it next week. But I think if you guys want some entertaining, go watch Jiu-Jitsu with Nick Cage coming out later this year.
Jiu-Jitsu.
So, all right, well, that's our show this week. I'm gonna go upstairs. It's evening time here. I'm gonna eat me some chili, call it an evening.
Chili.
Yeah, exactly. So, Mike, if people know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you at?
They can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram and Twitter. And you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. You can check out that Death Becomes Her Twitter thread that I made over on my Twitter account as well. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, see what sound dome you're currently living in, where can they find that?
You can find me on Instagram, Valdan87, or Twitter, Valdan, Valdan. Send me your recommendations or recent movies you'd want me to watch in here. Please stop sending me John Wick 3, though. If I have one more person say, watch John Wick 3 with your sound system, gonna lose.
I wasn't being facetious. Pirates of the Caribbean 1, man. You got cannons going off, muskets. You got swords clanging. You got an awesome score underneath all that.
And that is on the list of Atmos films, isn't it? So we know it has been mixed for Atmos.
Yes.
Because you can also, Disney Plus has that in it if you have that. So, all right, I'll put Pirates on the thing to do this week, Mike.
Yes.
And I feel it's kind of a Halloween-y movie. It's got skeletons.
Yeah, it aligns. Yeah. People go as pirates for Halloween.
That checks out.
Yeah.
If people know where they can listen to more of us, leave us those reviews, or hang out and share with friends. Where can they do that at?
Well, all you have to do is visit superheroslate.com. That's the best place to get our show notes and to find where we host the podcast. As of right now, we're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and many other locations because we use Podbean, which puts it wherever we want to put it. Mm-hmm. So let us know if you're using anything weird to listen to the podcast where you can't find us, and I'm sure we can get it listed there. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and the Gram, and you can get swag at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. We want you to reach out. Let us know how you're doing. If you just need us to send you good vibes, reach out and we'll send you good vibes. And we love our super fans of the show. Mm-hmm. And if you want to be a super fan, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and then you absolutely must wear a mask and then go vote. That is the best way to be a super fan of the show. Yes, and stay happy, stay healthy, and we'll be here every week, folks.
Yep, we'll see you guys next week.
All right, bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
That real peak fall, right? Like there's half the leaves are still on the trees, sun's clear. It could be cold, but it's not.